What's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot, and we are back for some player props and spreads in the NBA for Tuesday, April 20th. A recap from yesterday, two back-to-back bad days, 3 and 5 yesterday. Michael Porter Jr., Darius Garland, and Giannis, who gets injured in overtime, all finished on the bad end of the hook, all missing their over-under by 0.5. Not much you can do there. It's going to happen. You got to forgive and forget. Just move on. Keep doing the research, being confident in what you're placing. And I'm just going to move on. We got 5 games. We've obviously been on a killer streak, so you're going to expect a couple bad days here and there. But we're going to keep going on. We got 5 games today. If you're new to the channel, we do daily player props and spreads in the NBA, as well as MLB. We do our baseball video. Logan runs that side of the channel, and we do run lines, over-unders, you name it. No run first innings, all of those 3 things. Check out that video afterwards, as well as every week we do a weekly betting tips video. Last week we talked about how to research and find winning bets. Kind of walked through the process of how I find these player props, like the websites, the 5 or 6 websites I use. Go check out that video if you're interested. It is linked down below, as well as at the end of the video. And as a spoiler for this Wednesday's video, which will be coming out tomorrow, we're talking about making good value bets, placing good value bets, looking at the risk versus reward. So that's a spoiler for that one. If you're new to the channel, click that like and subscribe button. It really helps us grow. Let's see if we can hit 3,700 subscribers today. I believe in you guys. Let's get into it. First pick of the day, Kyrie Irving, over 29.5 points. And man, we picked this. The Pelicans and the Nets played a couple weeks ago. It was an absolute blowout. I believe final score was 139 to 111. Absolute blowout. Kevin Durant, I believe that was his first game back. He went like 5 for 5. It was just a blowout. The Nets blew them out completely. But tonight, Kyrie Irving is the only big 3 member there tonight. Kevin Durant and James Harden will both be sidelined, and we're looking at Kyrie Irving, a player that has absolutely destroyed the Pelicans over his career for the most part. And you got the Pelicans team giving up the 2nd most points per game to opposing point guards over the last 30 games at just over 27 points per game. With Durant and Harden both out, I think Irving will feast on this Pelicans defense. If it's worth noting his recent game log versus the Pelicans. He had 24 points when we picked his over last time they played, and that was a blowout. He barely played even that many minutes. Then he had 39, 26, 27, 49, 29. He's getting very close to it, and he gets very close to it with one of the big 3 members there. I think without them and him being the sole ball handler, I think he gets it with ease. I think he hits 30-plus points tonight, and you might even see that we like the over in this game. Moving on, we got, like we said, Kyrie Irving over 29.5 points. Moving on to arguably one of the hottest players in the NBA, just like Stephen Curry, who absolutely killed it and is on an absolute scorcher. Not as scorcher as possible like him, but Julius Randle, over 26.5 points. He's had 32-plus points in, I believe, 4 straight games. He's been absolutely killing it, and when you look at his number of shot attempts, it's hard to pass up his over-under of 26.5 points. We're taking the over, 26.5. He's playing the Hornets, and while he hasn't necessarily fared completely well against this Hornets team this season or last season, he hasn't been shooting as much against this team. And looking at his shot attempts over the past 4 games, there's no reason not to take the over if it's going to continue. He's actually averaging 26.5 shot attempts over his past 4 games. That's his exact player prop total line. If he's going to shoot if he's going to shoot 26 times tonight, I'd be willing to bet money on him hitting the over 26.5 points. A player of his talent and caliber should be able to hit 26, 27 points if he's shooting this many times. I'm betting on him tonight against the Hornets. They don't really, PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, don't really know who they'll put on him. I think he can hit it with ease. He's about the only primary Knicks scoring option. You got RJ Barrett, but I'm not counting on him. You got D Rose off the bench. I'm taking Julius Randle over 26.5 points. Say less. Moving on to a player that hurt us a couple nights ago, and we're back on the train. Hurt us again. Karl-Anthony Towns taking his over, 17.5 rebounds and assists. I like his over in rebounds as well. It was 11.5, has moved up to 12.5. If you have it at 11.5, hammer it. But we're taking Karl-Anthony Towns over 20 or over 17.5 rebounds and assists. And here's why. Prior to the last 2 games, in which 1, the Timberwolves were absolutely blown out, and 2, Karl-Anthony Towns was in foul trouble. Prior to those 2 games, we throw those out the windows. Those are 2 fluke occurrences. Tonight they get the Kings. I don't think they will get blown out against the Kings. So prior to those 2 games, he had hit this number over 17.5 rebounds and assists in 7 straight games and 9 of his last 10 games. I think he gets back on track tonight against the Kings, one of the worst teams against about defending opposing centers. You look at it, he did hit this in their previous matchup against the Kings. I think he does it again tonight. Lock it in. Karl-Anthony Towns over 17.5 rebounds plus assists. Moving on to 2 passion plays. And we're going to start with from the Orlando Magic. Cole Anthony over 26.5 PRAs versus the Atlanta Hawks. Sure, I said it's a passion play, but I'm riding with it tonight. If Cole Anthony gets the amount of minutes I expect him to get, which should be around 30 minutes per game, he should be able to hit this. If you look at his last 2 games, in which he saw 29 and I believe 30 or 33 minutes, he hit this with ease. He returned 29 PRAs in his last game and 31 PRAs in the game before that. You obviously got the Hawks, which are a positive matchup for opposing point guards. And, I don't anticipate Trae Young playing a whole lot of defense, and I think Cole Anthony can hit this tonight. Just the passion play. Obviously, the Hawks are big favorites, but I think regardless of the score, I think Cole Anthony will get some run regardless. I think he'll play a lot of minutes, and that's why I'm locking in Cole Anthony over 26.5 PRAs. You will not see him in the parlay of the day because I'm not as confident in it, but I do think Cole Anthony has a good shot at hitting that 27 PRA line versus the Atlanta Hawks team. If he continues to see the minutes, Terrence Ross is out, James Ennis is out. Magic basically got no one. So we're locking in him. He's the only player really on the Magic, plus the chum bucket, Chuma Okeke, but we're not touching his props. We're taking Cole Anthony over 26.5 PRAs. Moving on to one of my favorite players in the NBA, and sure, it's a passion play. Say what you want. Zion Williamson over 28.5 points. I love Zion, and there's no denying it. You look at this Nets roster, who they will be playing tonight. They got no one to stop him, and I think he gets the 30-plus points tonight. He's done that in 7 of his last 11 games, and he wouldn't have gotten pretty close to it last time they played the Nets if it weren't for the big blowout. He only played, I believe, 23 minutes. So if he could play his normal 35-ish minutes, I think he hits this with ease. It should be a high-scoring game in Brooklyn. Brooklyn versus the Pelicans, over-under set at 231.5 points. There's a reason it's that high. It's because they're going to score a lot of points. We're taking Zion Williamson over 28.5 points. And then a couple leans. Here's a couple leans. You guys, as I always preach, do your research and make sure you're being confident in the picks you're placing. If you like my picks, sure, you can tail them, but at least do the research and make sure it's a pick that you would place without my guidance. Moving on, here's a couple leans. CJ McCollum, sure, he hurt us a couple nights ago, over 24.5 points. Same analysis, same numbers. He averages over 28 points per game without Damian Lillard. The line went down 1 point, but I think, he's a good enough player to hit it. I'd also consider Norm Powell's over 19.5 points. I believe he missed it on the hook the last game. Should see a lot more shot attempts without Dame Lillard. You could also look at Enes Kanter. Great matchup against the Clippers. He could also do that as well. Not going to make those official plays, but other one. So we got McCollum over 24.5 points. I'd consider that. And then Kevin Huerter over 19.5 points, rebounds, assists, or just his points line. Kevin Huerter's been doing pretty well lately, playing against the struggling Magic. He's hitting this with ease in the last 3 games. A worthy line. I think he could hit this 20 PRA line. Just take a look at him. And then I'm looking at the spreads. I hate betting spreads. And anyone out there that bets spreads in the NBA, props to you because it's brutal out there. Either 1, your team completely loses outright if you pick the favorite, or 2, they missed it on the hook. You have a 7 and like you have the Wizards last night. You could have Wizards minus 12.5. Best I can do is a 12-point win. It's just spreads. It's spreads, and I hate spreads in the NBA, so I don't have any of those. But I got a couple over-unders, like I already talked about. Pelicans versus Nets over 231.5. I think that's got a good chance. Like I said, they combined for 250 last game. Don't anticipate that this time, but the Pelicans should play better than they did last time against the Nets, and the Pelicans don't play a whole lot of defense. I think this will be a back-and-forth game. Kyrie Irving going to town. I think the over 231.5 points is a good line. And then the Hornets versus Knicks. I know I have Julius Randle's over, but I'm taking the under 209.5 points. Both of these teams don't love scoring a lot of points, and although LaMelo Ball could potentially be coming back soon, maybe before the end of the season, I do think this under hits. He will not be active today, obviously. We're taking the Hornets Knicks under 209.5 points. Those are my 2 leans for over-unders, and so I think they'll be pretty close. And Vegas is dialed in, as you can see by all the things missing on the hook or barely hitting on the hook. Vegas is dialed in. Recap of all the plays. Oh, whoa, I missed the parlay of the day. My 3 favorite plays. Julius Randle over 26.5 points. Kyrie Irving over 29.5 points. And Karl Anthony Towns over 17.5 rebounds plus assists. Recapping all the plays. We'll start from the top. I just read off the first 3 plays, but if you didn't get them down, here you go. Write them down. Kyrie Irving over 29.5 points. Julius Randle over 26.5 points. Karl Anthony Towns over 17.5 rebounds plus assists. Then we got Cole Anthony over 26.5 points, rebounds, assists versus the Atlanta Hawks. Then we got Zion Williamson over 28.5 points. And then my 2 over-under leans or spreads of the day. We got Hornets Knicks under 209.5 points and Pelicans Nets over 231.5. Then I had those couple player props that you can look at, that CJ McCollum line and that Kevin Huerter line. That's all you can do. Parlay of the day, Julius Randle's over, Kyrie Irving's over, and Karl Anthony Towns over 17.5 rebounds plus assists. I think we got a good slate going today. Obviously, there's only 5 games, so don't force your normal 5 bets that you make. You don't have to do that. These are just my picks of the day. I think we got a good chance of winning. We got a good slate today. Couple great matchups. But like I said, this has been Austin. I will catch you guys again tomorrow for some more player props and spreads. And if you want to check out that betting tips and tricks video, how to research and find winning bets that I normally do to find these exact bets that I'm giving you, feel free to click the link. I believe I'll try to put it right here. Click that. Thanks again for all the support. I really appreciate it. Let's see if we can hit 3,700 subscribers. You guys have been killing it. Thanks again. I'll see you guys again tomorrow.